Hey everyone, welcome to a WhyHeForge deck review. We were finally able to get our hands on some decks. We went to the pre-release. Shout out to Gigabytes, our local game store, for throwing an awesome pre-release party. We had lots of fun. We were actually able to get our hands on 4 decks, so that was pretty awesome. This deck here is Stabatha, Miss Aurora, Durham. This deck is Shadows, Dees, and Logos. So stay tuned. We're going to dive right into this deck here. Alright, so I am actually going to start with the Shadows here. We've had a lot of fun playing with this deck. So far, it has yet to lose. I don't know if that's just because everyone's new to the game or what, but so far this deck is looking pretty strong, which is a little interesting because if you looked at it on paper, you might not think it's so good. But let's just dive into here. Kind of going to try to go through these a little bit quicker, try to keep it a little shorter for you guys. But if you guys have ideas or want to see something different or want to see something explained more and further videos, make sure to comment and let me know so that way we can try to bring you guys the best content. So here we go. This is special delivery, and it is an Omni card, and it's actually a lot of fun. Kind of helps protect from some creatures coming out. We have Subtle Maul. This card isn't really that strong, but it is a lot of fun to really mess with your opponent. We have Shadow Self. This card here is really good in this deck with some of the Dees creatures that are in here. If you can get it so that the Dees creatures are on both sides, it really helps to protect this deck. Nexus, I like using this. Again, not that strong, but really just ticks off your opponent because you're taking care of their artifacts and exhausting them and stunning them so that way they can't use them. A lot of fun. Silvertooth, always a great card to have in a Shadows deck, it seems like. Silvertooth comes into play ready. Really good card. It's a really good first hand card too. And you can just play and reap. Bad Penny. I love Bad Penny. I know a lot of people don't, but Bad Penny is a really fun card. I think there are a lot of good shadow cards that Bad Penny actually works really well with, and there are actually some in this deck that Bad Penny works really well with. We have Dodger, always a good, another good creature, kind of a common, seems to be in a lot of decks. Then we have Poison Wave. Poison Wave, it's really hard because you have to damage each creature, and which means you're damaging your own at the same time. The good thing about Poison Wave though, does give you an Amber. It's a nice card to have 2 in your hand. If you can archive it, maybe wait till you don't have any creatures, then it becomes a pretty good card. This is where Bad Penny actually works really, really well with Pawn Sacrifice. Pawn Sacrifice says sacrifice a friendly creature. If you do, deal 3 damage each to 2 creatures. The reason Bad Penny is good with this is because you play Bad Penny, you sacrifice Bad Penny, she goes back to your hand, you deal the damage, you play Bad Penny again. No harm, no foul to you, you still get Bad Penny. I know Bad Penny can clog the hand, but really, with this deck, she's not a hand clogger because there's a lot of ability to archive within this deck. So another Amber for playing, which is fun. And then of course, you always gotta have fun with Shadows if you got Bait and Switch. Bait and Switch is fun, it's a pain in the butt. Personally, what I like to do with this, since I have logos, I have the ability to archives. I find that as soon as I get this card, I am sticking it in my archives. I do not want somebody randomly drawing it with a Mind Barb or something out of my hand. Don't want my hand to be stuck. I want this in my archives so that way I get to choose when this is in my hand. Great card, lots of fun. Then we have this. This is actually a fun card. Routine Jobs. It's a steal 1, then steal 1 for each copy of Routine Jobs in your discard pile, and we got 2 in this deck. So you have the ability to steal 2. Another good card. Can take some setting up, but what I find myself doing, which is a lot of fun, if you get them both in your hands, or if you can archive it, it generally is better. Put it in the archives, play the first one, goes to your discard pile. Then play the second one. So if you archive and wait, it's really good and a lot of fun. So here we have twin bolt emissions. We're into the logo side. One of the things I actually didn't realize until I was putting together this video, this logo's house only has 2 creatures. So there is not a lot of creatures, but there are a ton of actions. So we got twin bolt emissions here. And we got remote access. Another fun kind of just annoying card. Use your opponent's artifact as if it was yours. Again, just kind of a way to mess with your opponent, get their artifact so they can't use it next turn. Lots of fun. Plus you get an amber from it. No harm in getting an amber. So we have a phase shift. And this is, you may play 1 non-logos card this turn. So this is a lot of fun because although you do not have a lot of logos creatures, you have the ability with logos to get out lots of cards at one time. And the cool thing about this deck is we have three phase shifts. So you can do this 3 times in one turn, say if you've got it all. And it is a lot of fun to be able to get out cards that aren't yours. Maybe on a logos turn, you bait and switch. Makes it nice. That's another reason why I like bait and switch in my archives. So that way, if I have a phase shift and I want to go logos, if I have more set up for logos, I can still play that bait and switch even when I'm going logos. So with phase shifts, it really lets you kind of almost be able to play 2 houses at once, depending on how many you have. It's a great card, one of my favorites. Then we have lab work. Lab work is how we're archiving our cards. We actually have 2 of these. So you get to archive a card, and since it doesn't say where, it comes from the hand via the rules. So 2 amber, always good. Plus, this is how we're getting bait and switch in our archives. This is how we're putting routine jobs in our archives. Lots of fun, lots of building with this deck. This card is so annoying. And it has annoyed the crap out of a lot of people. I actually think this card might be better than bait and switch. Bait and switch, I know, gives you the amber, but this card slows your opponent down so much and is an extremely good card when you have either just forged a key and maybe they're about to, or you have 1 amber, and guess what? We have 2 of them. So this deck can really slow you down. You don't want to get past 7 or really much at all because of bait and switch. And then if you do get too much, we're taking half of it, and you just got to time it right. This deck has a lot of timing. It is a lot of fun though. Library of Babel. This card's kind of fun. Helps you to kind of filter through your deck and play a little bit quicker, which is always necessary. Then we have the Archivist. And again, another way that we are, this is one of the 2, but this is another way we are reaping, another way we're getting bait switch into the archives, getting some of our cards and really building up for a really good hand, whether it be with Dees to do a lot, or with Shadows to kind of take. Again, I'm always trying to get bait and switch into my archives. Then we have Dextra. And Dextra is fun. Dextra to me gets more annoying than Bad Penny. Bad Penny goes to your hand, and if you already have 6 cards, you already have 5 cards, it doesn't clog it up this much. This is annoying because it goes right back on top of your draw deck, and you have to draw it, not just it be in your hand with the potential to discard it. You know, Bad Penny gets in your hand, and it's on a turn you've played Shadows. You can really just discard her if you're getting annoyed with her, but you know, Dextra has to go back on top of your deck. Not as much fun, but it's nice. It's a very good card to maybe keep in your hand and save to when your opponent has exactly 6, and it just kind of stops them from getting to be able to forge a key. So now we have the Dees. The Dees in this actually is a lot of fun, pretty simple. There are 7 creatures in D's. So the D's is where the bulk of our creatures is, and there's some really good ones, a lot of fun ones to play with. Control of the Week's fun. I am kind of a card counter, so I'm kind of paying attention to how many of each house my opponent has played. I like to use this. Say my opponent, I've counted and I know my opponent's played 9 or 8 Mars cards, doesn't really have a Mars board. Then I kind of like to try to call. You have to play Mars knowing that they're probably not going to have very many Mars cards in their hand. Kind of slows them down for a turn. Plus you get an Amber. Never a bad thing. 3 Fates. This can be an interesting card to play. It says destroy the 3 most powerful creatures. Very annoying, but good with this deck because you don't have a lot of Logos creatures. The ones you do have are not that powerful. You got Shadows. They don't have a terrible amount of powerful creatures, so it's really nice and can really be a huge benefit if you're playing against Sanctum or Brobnar or Untamed, where they're dropping super high powerful creatures. This card will help. We have double Mind Barbs. Again, just annoys your opponent. I like annoying my opponent when I'm playing. I like messing with them. I like it to where you have a chance to draw their best card. Maybe you do it and you throw off their entire turn. Lots of fun. Then we have Hand of Dees. Love this card. It can be, and I'm finding that it is though, a very hand clogging card. And I say that because I'm running into a lot of games when I've played with this where there just aren't any non-flank creatures. Maybe they have only 1 or 2 creatures out. And this card can just sit in your hand sometimes for a very long time. I think I've actually discarded this card more than I've played it. Then we have Shaffles. At the end of your turn, your opponent loses 1. This card has to be dealt with pretty quickly. Can really slow down your opponent. It's annoying. This is a card that I really like to get next to Shadow Self, so that way you really have to destroy it with a action card or an upgrade or something, and that way you can't just fight it. You really have to wipe it off the board versus dealing it damage. We have a Dust Imp. Lots of fun. This one I do not want by Shadow Self because I want it to die, essentially. Dust Imp is pretty much just there for me to gain that 2 Amber. And then we have double Succubus. And this can be fun. I also like to try to get one of these next to the Shadow Self if I can. Like to get 2 of these on. They're essentially chains that I'm giving you that you have to deal with in order. It's not, 1 turn it's gone. If I can keep 1, 2 of these on for multiple turns, it's like playing with chains the whole game. All right, next we have Snudge, and this card is just a lot of fun. It really just messes with your opponent, returning an artifact or flank creature to their hand. Can just throw them off, and really in a game like this, throwing somebody off or clogging their hand, it can just be fun, and I like fun. Then we have Tolus. Tolus is a really good card. It's a dangerous card though because it says each time a creature is destroyed, its opponent gains 1. Great for you because you can gain some when you kill off your opponent. Might be good in a deck that also has, Brobnar that's kind of focused, or Sanctum, that's focused on fighting a little bit more. Got to be careful with here. It is good with Pawn Sacrifice though. If you have Bad Penny out maybe, and you Pawn Sacrifice, then and Tolus is already in play, then Tolus is doing 3 damage to 2, or Pawn Sacrifice, sorry, does 3 damage to creatures. Then you're getting the Amber without them getting more because you haven't destroyed any of your creatures. Here is a very fun card. I love playing with this card. Super good in my opinion for 2 reasons. So it says Fight Reap, and this is Eater of Death by the way. Fight Reap. It says purge a creature from a discard pile. So the first thing right away that's good is because you can purge your opponents. It says a discard pile. It doesn't say yours, it doesn't say your opponent, it says a. That means you can remove your opponent's cards from the game. And I'm all about that. It's really good against a Untamed deck that maybe has some witches in it that are, you know, putting cards back in their hand, maybe has a Witch of the Hunt that allows you to get a amber per creature, you can really slow that down or completely shut it down with Eater of Death. Then next, it's also getting a 1/1 counter. So you get to purge, I said 1/1 counter, a 1+ counter, power counter on Eater of Death. So you can bulk this thing up, keep it really strong, give it lots of longevity, and then just remove creatures from your opponents. I don't really see where this thing goes wrong. So it's a fun card, annoying card. Your opponent really probably won't catch that. It says A and won't really necessarily deal with it right away. The moment you purge their creature though, I promise you, they're looking at Eater of Death and they're gonna try to find a way to remove it. So that's the deck here, guys. Let me know what you think. Comment below. Again, we've played about 7 games so far filming this video with this deck, and it has yet to lose. Could be just, again, we're playing new people. It's really early in the game. I don't know. Maybe it'll get chained. Maybe it won't. I'll look forward to seeing what this deck can do. If you see any combos that I missed that you go, oh man, feel free. I would love to learn more about my own deck. And I look forward to bringing you guys more decks, more reviews. So stay tuned, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we get a new deck out. We're going to try to do maybe a deck per week. We'll see. But stay tuned. And this was Stabatha, Miss Aurora Durham.
I can't wait to see what's inside.
Okay, so